In the heart of Detroit, Michigan, lived a young man named Marcus Reed. Born into a low-income family, Marcus grew up in a neighborhood often forgotten by the rest of the world. Crime, poverty, and hopelessness were part of the daily atmosphere. But Marcus had something different in his spirit: ambition. His mother worked 2 jobs as a cleaner, and his father had walked out when Marcus was only 7. Despite the hardships, his mother always reminded him of one thing: where you start doesn't decide where you finish. Marcus didn't have the newest clothes or the latest phone, but he had an old computer from a garage sale that barely worked. He would spend hours trying to fix it, just to use it for a few minutes. That's where his passion for technology was born. He was fascinated by how things worked, and more importantly, how they could be improved. But passion alone wasn't enough. After graduating high school, Marcus couldn't afford college. He applied to dozens of scholarships, but was rejected over and over again. Eventually, with no other choice, he took a job as a janitor at a tech startup downtown. To many, it looked like he had hit a dead end. Marcus saw things differently. Every night after his shift, he would stay late, cleaning faster just so he could sneak into the conference room and read the leftover whiteboard notes from meetings. He'd take pictures of diagrams, marketing plans, and coding notes with his cracked phone. He studied everything he could find. He began watching free coding tutorials online. He practiced building apps using the old computer he fixed himself. Sometimes he'd even ask the engineers polite questions while emptying their trash. And over time, they started noticing him. One day, a senior developer named Elena asked, "Not just a janitor, are you?" Marcus smiled. "Not in my head, ma'am." Elena was impressed by his humility and drive. She gave him a challenge: build a basic version of a task manager app the company was planning. Marcus worked on it every night for 2 weeks and delivered something better than expected. The CEO himself reviewed it and was shocked to learn a janitor had built it. Soon after, Marcus was offered an internship. It didn't pay much more, but it was a foot in the door. He worked harder than anyone, arriving early, staying late, learning everything from UX design to back-end coding. Eventually, he became a full-time developer, then a team leader. Over the next 5 years, Marcus helped launch 3 major products. His ideas were fresh, his leadership humble, and his motivation contagious. He didn't just work for success, he worked for something deeper, to prove that your past doesn't have to define your future. At 29, Marcus was promoted to Chief Technology Officer. But his journey didn't end there. He had a dream of building something of his own, something that could change lives. So he left the company to launch a startup focused on helping underserved youth learn tech skills for free. It was called CodeRise. At first, investors didn't believe in it. They said the idea wasn't scalable. But Marcus persisted. He sold his car, lived in a tiny apartment, and coded for 16 hours a day. He partnered with schools, nonprofits, and mentors, slowly building a platform that worked. CodeRise exploded in popularity. Within 3 years, it had trained over 500,000 students across the U.S., especially from inner cities and rural communities. Companies began hiring directly from CodeRise, and it changed the lives of countless young people, just like Marcus once dreamed. He was invited to speak at conferences, honored by tech magazines, and even offered millions by companies wanting to buy his platform. But Marcus always refused to sell out. At an awards ceremony in New York City, he stood on stage in front of a crowd filled with entrepreneurs, CEOs, and journalists. As he accepted the Innovator of the Year award, he said, "The world expects people like me to fail, but I never worked for their approval. I worked for that kid who's mopping floors, dreaming of a better life." If that's you, listen carefully. You are not your zip code. You are not your rejection letters. You are not your job title. You are your decisions. Make them bold.